Hey everybody, Ben here from the Bonehead podcast, and welcome to the monthly meta. So it's March 2021 now, and we are looking at Blood Bowl 2020 competitive play. We're looking at what's legal and what's lethal. So what is eligible in the format, what you can run, what expansions are out, what you need to know to be able to play Blood Bowl 2020, and also what's lethal. We're going to be looking at some of the top tournament teams, who's winning where and why. So there's not a lot of tournament play going on at the moment, but there is some, and it's brand new. So Blood Bowl 2020 is still a really young format, so it's great to have a look at some of the tournaments that are coming up and some of the tournaments that have already been played to kind of identify what kind of rule sets you're going to be facing and what kind of teams are doing well in them. There are only a few tournaments though, so let's not get too excited about some of the teams. So last month we saw that Tomb Kings ended up topping 2 of our tournaments. I don't think they're going to be the powerhouses forever. I don't think we have to worry about trying to get them cancelled. But the teams of legend are doing pretty well at the moment. Anyway, let's have a look at what's illegal. So we'll have nothing new. Nothing has changed this format. So we're running the 2020 11D format. You've got the Blood Bowl 2020 rulebook. You've got Spike 11. You've got the Teams of Legend PDF from Games Workshop. So that's your Amazon, High Elf, Chaos Dwarf, Norse, Vampires, and Tomb Kings. Did I mention High Elves? Got destroyed by them this week. Not a bad team. You've got Acorn, who is a star player that was in 1 White Dwarf, and you can get that White Dwarf electronically. A lot of contention around him and whether or not the tournaments are allowing him or not. That's the only thing we've seen varied yet, is whether or not Acorn has been allowed. We've got the NAF tournament guidelines. They are a solid way to make sure that everybody is playing with kind of the base core rules the same way. But it also, and more importantly, has the Slan rules and the Khorne rules. So 2 really unique teams for Blood Bowl. I think it's actually really good. And I'm not just saying that because I am enjoying playing Slan at the moment, especially on Fumble. We've also got the big FAQ from Games Workshop. Now, I think the next one's coming in May. So we are stuck with the rules as they are for now. There's still a few areas of ambiguity, so TOs, be aware. And lastly, there's special play cards and pitches. So we've seen the ones that were released with the 2020 box set. We've seen the Necro cards, we've seen the Dwarf and Skaven cards as well. So there's special play cards in there. There is, you guys reminded me, a set of pitch rules for the Necro team and for the Skaven and Dwarf team, which is cool. All of this stuff tends to be kind of optional. You don't tend to see it in a competitive format because it brings a lot of swing. The special play cards are not always the best value for money, but be aware they're there and they can be great fun to play with. And we're not quite there yet, but soon enough, the Spike 12 is going to be landing. So that's the Nobility and Black Orc book. It's not packed full of expansion rules like we saw from Spike 11. Spike 11, I still maintain, is the best Spike. I love it to bits. It's got a bit of everything. This one looks to have ball rules for Nobility and Black Orc. And that's about it. Everything else looks to be exactly the same as the 2020 rulebook, which on the one hand is good because you don't need this. This is mostly going to be about fluff and background. And you guys know I love the 4 teams per team per episode, where it's like got little bits of history to kind of inspire you to run your team. That's going to be it, I think, for the Spike magazine, unless they sneak in a couple of useful things there. That shouldn't affect the meta in any way, shape or form. So before we have a look at what's lethal, just want to say that please, everybody, follow the rules when it comes to coming to tournaments. We are going to see more tournaments opening up soon, and we're going to start seeing more events happen, which is awesome, but we can only do that, and we can only keep that up if everybody stays safe. Plus, we want to keep everybody as healthy as we can. So let's have a look at what's lethal in the format right now. And to start off, we're going to look back at the 3 tournaments we kind of put our eyes on last month. I was going to say last week. Okay, so the first one was the Snowball in France. Now, there was planning to be a 2-day 5k tournament. It only ended up playing 4 games in the end. But these are the results from the tournament here. So Necro came first and Chaos Dwarves came second. Most touchdowns, Skaven, nice to represent there. And the Stunty Cup was won by Goblins. Don't have the rosters here, would be really cool to see. But Snowball won by Necromantic. And we'll take a quick check-in on the Coliseum Cup as well. This was in Florida, 13th of Feb, 3-rounder. It might have been a 4-rounder, actually. Amazons won this one with Chaos Chosen in second. Most touchdowns for Blackhawks. Might have to get that coach on the podcast to try and find out what the secret is there. And Stunty Cup won by Snotlings. I have a feeling that this Snotling coach is the one we saw last month who 4-0'd a human team and just absolutely ran super hot. It's really cool to see some tournaments out there. So Amazon coming first in this one and Chaos Dwarf coming second in the last. That paired up with the fact that Tomb Kings came in first place twice in the last month means that actually the teams of legend are being well represented at the moment. And last but absolutely no means least, we've got Sydney Bowl Sevens here. So this is run by our friend George, and he is doing a whole 7 series over there in Australia. So Dark Elves came first with Skaven and Elven Union second and third. This is exactly kind of what we expected to see out of the Sevens environment. You've got those kind of high edge teams really bringing the game. Dark Elves, superb. Skaven, well, you guys know they're a terrible team. Wink. And Elven Union are an absolutely beast of a team, I think, at the moment. Anyway, I'm expecting to start to see Elven Union creep up the rankings in general 11s, let alone 7s. So really cool to look at our first 7s tournament in Blood Bowl 2020. Join the Blood Bowl 7's Facebook group. George has put a really great breakdown of the event and the teams and how it felt in the format. He tweaked the rules ever so slightly so that every team can take an additional stunty player on top of their 4 positionals to try and get like the Chaos Renegades team a bit more buff and the Snotlings an extra positional, Goblins an extra positional. He said it didn't feel like it was quite enough, but it did allow those teams to be a bit more exciting. So that's really cool. We've got another 7s tournament to look at in a minute as well. So a quick wrap up. Over the last 2 months, we've seen the teams of legend become teams of legends. So Amazons and Chaos Dwarves, we had them ranked as 5 and 8 in the Blood Bowl power rankings, and Tomb Kings we had rated at 22. So all of those teams coming through and top 1ing, top 2ing these first tournaments. Now, we do have to remember that these teams haven't changed really. The passing game got nerfed a little bit, but in tournaments it's always risky to rely heavily on a passing game anyway. So I think the key here is that their game has not changed. And generally speaking, I don't think the costs have changed much either. So it is quite cool to see that these teams are performing well, but we still got some of the more affected teams. So Chaos Chosen's up there, Blackhawks up there as the top touchdown scoring team. Snotlings and Goblins performing their stunty dues. Actually, there's quite a good spread at the moment, and I know we've got a small window of tournaments to look at, and this is why it's so exciting, is because it's just beginning. But we're seeing that some of those coaches who've got some of those old teams, and those old teams have not changed, means that they are still powerful. Now, as Games Workshop rotate and update these teams, I am intrigued to see what they'll do with them. I mean, we even saw the Orc team get Animosity, which is a slight nerf, but they replaced it with a buff to the big and blocker movement of going up to 5. So we will see little tweaks to these teams, and we will probably see them perform slightly differently. Let's just hope these guys get re-released this year. So let's have a look at some of the tournaments that are coming up soon. So the first one we've got here is the Winter Sleet 2021. This one is on the 13th of March in Bergen, Norway. So this is a one-day event with 4 games. Now it's got a really cool setup for this one. Let me see if I can just bounce over to the webpage. Here we go. Yeah, Bringen. So 8:30 registration, 9:15 round 1, 12:30 round 2, round 3 at 3:20, round 4 at 18:45, so 6:45 in the evening. It's a whole day event. You've got dinner, you've got lunch, you've got a very hot coffee break. So we don't really do this in the UK that I've seen, and especially down south. We tend to play 3 games and then go home at 6, so that we can do whatever for the evening. 2-day tournaments seem like the right way to do it, because then you can all go out and have dinner and drink in the evening. Obviously going to be interesting to see how we manage that this year, but I love the idea of spending the whole day getting 4 rounds in, having a big dinner, and just this tournament sounds like an absolute ton of fun. So 1 day, 4 games, Blood Bowl 2020, team value, everybody's at 1150. Now the rulebook recommends 1150, so if you are thinking how do you run a good roster at 1150, check out any of our tournament builds rosters. We've done them at 1100 and at 1200, so you can basically flex up or down any one of our rosters. That's why we did them on the low end and the upper end there. No stars in this tournament, so I think this is the first one we've seen that has banned stars. So there was a lot of discussion when the book landed about the fact that star players have got cheaper and their availability has got greater. So we are expecting to see Hackflem, who apparently I have lost again. Got to stop doing that. Is going to appear in a lot of the Bashir teams as a really solid, fast striking, high edge piece. And a lot of coaches were like, this is just kind of risky. Every team's got a Hackflem or a Wilhelm Chaney. So this bad boy here is banning stars, unless you are a stunty team. So look out for Hackflem on Snotlings, because that's just awesome. So skills, again, this one has got very, very straightforward. 6 primary skills only. No more, no less. No doubles for anybody. It is just pick a team, buy it at 1150, and give them 6 normal skills. It's quite an interesting one. This is the most vanilla we've seen. So I know there's a big movement where you ignore tiers. There's a lot of people who said, actually, Blood Bowl is inherently balanced. Let's ignore tiers and just own it. I love having tiers. I love the fact you can give a bit of extra spice to some of the other teams to make them quite interesting. But realistically, I think Tier 3 has been boosted a little bit in this edition. And this still being able to take stars is going to give them a pretty decent edge, because they tend to be really cheap teams. So Winter Sleet 2021... 1150, 6 primary skills only. Personally, I think this is this could very well be the realm of elves. Okay, dark elves, 6 primary skills, so you're kind of leaning on just an absolute ton of dodge there. Amazons will probably do well as well, but 1150, you kind of run out of things to buy when you can't run star players. So 1150 Amazons, you might be able to sneak Carla von Killen. So realistically, with that kind of build, you're looking at teams that get better as you've got more money, but without inducements. Necro, you could see a full lineup of Necro as well. There's a ton of good options here. Lizards will get the full lineup as well at 1150, and 6 primary skills means that you can end up with a team of 6 Blocksaurus and your Croxagore and 2 or 3 rerolls. So actually, we're going to see. I think this is just going to boost the tier 1 teams. Necro Pearls might do pretty well as well, but I think this one, watch out for tier 1 teams to do pretty well. I'm excited to see the results for this one, and I wish I could go to Norway because it sounds lovely. Tournament number 2 for today is Blitz Bowl 2021. So this is a 2-dayer. This is 27th to the 28th of March in Tauranga, New Zealand. Sorry if I got that wrong. So 2 days, 5 games. We've seen a lot of that. That's what the Snowball was supposed to be, but didn't manage. So they've got a cool little Google rules set here. Really well put together, really straightforward. I could talk you through it, but I think everything is pretty much straightforward and on the screen here. Yeah. Okay, so Blitz Bowl 2021. 2 days, 5 games. Team values, we're looking at 1.1 for Tier 1, 1.15, so at 1,150,000 for Tier 2 teams, and 1,200 gold for Tier 3. So that's kind of regular now. Star players are limited to those listed in the 2020 rulebook and Spike 11, so this won't be an Acorn tournament. Yeah, we have remembered to put that on the screen, so that's quite good. And teams get a skill allowance based on tiers as well, so that's what this one here is. So Tier 1 teams, 5 normal skills basically. Tier 2 get 4 normal and up to 1 double skill or secondary skill. They can flex that around there, so you can take 5 normal, you don't have to take 4 and 1 double skill there. And Tier 3 teams get 1.2 million, and 4 skills and 2 secondary skills. So up to 6 skills there as well. This one's looking pretty tasty for those Tier 3 teams. I actually really like the flexibility this gives for Tier 2 here. You've got kind of Tier 1 at 1.1 million is going to be absolutely fine. So Dark Elves, Wood Elves are going to get really solid lineup at that point. You should be able to get most of what you want, and 5 normal skills is going to do pretty well. But that extra 50k for Tier 2 with an extra potential of a double means you can really fit some stuff in there. So Chaos Chosen at 1.15 gets 4 blockers, 3 rerolls, and the Minotaur. And you can even drop the Minotaur take Hack Phlegm. You've got some skills there. Everybody gets block. Beastman gets Sure Hands. You've got the potential of block Minotaur. Yeah, tier 2 is looking pretty tasty in this one. Tier 3 is always going to represent. Come on, Stunties. Snotlings are great in this environment, I think, because you just get to do silly stuff. And Snotlings have like a really great run hot potential, way more than the other stunty teams. They are sneaky. You get 4 big guys, and you get basically a movement 9 throw teammate piece in the Stilty. Yeah, Snotlings are sneaky fast. I like that. So actually tier 2 is going to do well here, but tier 1 is not at much of a deficit. Okay, if you think about it, it's going to be 70k in new money difference. And most tier 1 teams can battle up 70k. But the cool thing is, keeping it at 1.1 means that they're going to suffer when trying to sneak a star player in there. And again, watch any one of our tournament rosters. We started at 1.1 because we wanted to see just what you can afford. You'll see that at 1.2 you can get a ton of fun. So I like the way this is balanced, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing how this one plays out. Come on, let's have some tier 2 winning here. And more 7s, which I absolutely love. Okay, so we've got the FFBL. I don't know what that stands for. Sorry, guys, but they are running a 7s tournament day. So 13th of March again. This is in Ferndale, Michigan, US of A. So 1 day, 5 games. That's how we run our 7s events as well. You can fit 6 games in, but it is a bit of wear. I like 5 games in 1 day. It's enough that you're like, whew, that was a day of it, without being ransacked at the end of it. We run our 5 game days, basically 10:30 till 6. And it's fine, you get enough downtime because it's 7s. The games are 45 minutes, 30 if you suck at it and have a terrible time. So there's always that side as well. So this one is bang on 600k. So there's no flex in the cost here. 600k, no stars, which is kind of fair enough in 7s. You're not likely to be able to afford much anyway. So one thing I really like that they've done here is they've got... We'll come to the leprechauns in a moment. The skills, they have leaned in to leader, which is exactly what we did in 7s in Sewer Bowl. Gosh, I can't remember now. We leaned into it. We were like, no, we're going for it. In 7s, you tend to find a way to sneak in a leader caddy unless you ban leader. So on this one, basically each team is allowed to give 1 player, makes them the team captain. They get the leader skill. The team captain can swap the leader skill for any primary skill if they so choose. Yeah, this is basically the same thing that we did. I like that, and it worked out great because basically it's like, look, you can give leader to anybody. So the undead team, for example, where there's no passing on a regular, can still get leader. There's still not that deficit, so you've got the opportunity there. Yeah, also means you can give leader to something like a troll on a stunty team and have that resilience and have it there without taking up a double skill. Teams will have a number of additional skills based on tiers. So tier 1 gets 1 additional normal, tier 2 gets 2 skills, 1 can be a secondary, and tier 3 gets another 3 skills, and 2 of those can be a secondary, which is what we've got here. So 1 for tier 1, 2 skills for tier 2, 1 can be a double, and 3 skills for tier 3 on top of the team captain one here. This is very similar to what we used, I think, for Sewer Bowl, and I think it worked brilliantly. It kind of kept things packed, and 7s is such a great thing anyway. But I would be remiss to say this isn't awesome. There's leprechauns in this one. So each team has a leprechaun liaison, the tournament assigned to them, but they can't just stand watching the game without getting in there. Anytime, basically, you can sneak the leprechaun onto the pitch, onto the sweet spot, so the bit in the backfield, and basically it is the leprechaun has the same stats as a Fumble Secret League leprechaun. 6-1-3-7 strip ball dodge right stuff Sunty. So I love that they got a bit of Secret League in there. We've seen that twice from the 7s tournaments. We saw Sydney Bowl have Beastman teams, and we're seeing this one here have a cheeky bit of leprechaun in, which I think is just awesome. And I'll tell you what, movement 6, strength 1, strip ball, it's going to work out all right in 7s. You're going to have a punt, and you're not even paying for them, which is pretty sweet as well. And in honour of the St. Patrick's Day theme, all players will take home the leprechaun model provided for them to play with during the tournament. So I am going to assume that's one of the leprechaun halflings. Oh, I've got to print off some of those. That's a great idea. I love this one. I think that's a really cool idea. And we're seeing some kind of tournament special rules, but they are slight. We want the format to roll. So we've seen the Winter Sleep Bowl is real vanilla. Like, we're playing at this value, you got these skills, choose a team, and this is how we're going to run. Hardly any star players. I like that. That's going to be really useful to get to grips with how the teams run, but also it's so good to add a bit of spice. Whether it's a leprechaun here, or actually in the Blitz Bowl, basically there's once per half, a player making a blitz basically gets an extra boost for that one blitz action of Juggernaut and Mighty Blow, because the crowd loves blitzing, which I think is pretty sweet as well. So we've got a lot of cool tournaments going on here, and I'm really excited to see how they play out and what the meta is looking like. So we're going into March now, and in the UK, I think the earliest we're likely to see tournaments is kind of mid to late June. I can't remember the timeline. We're kind of hoping July for our first tournament, and let's just hope we can have a really great time. So we've still got a few more months of the US and New Zealand and a bit of Europe there leading the way for Blood Bowl 2020, but at some point this year, the tournament scene is gonna boom, and we are really hoping to give you tournament coverage. We're hoping to stream some live games, and we're just absolutely gonna throw ourselves into, safely, just going crazy for tournaments, because Blood Bowl is awesome. It is a completely wild and nonsensical game. It is not balanced. It is not suitable for competitive play, and that's what makes it so great for competitive play, because you will always have a wild card. You'll always have the Snotling team perform brilliantly and throw everyone's expectations off. There is no gimmies. There are no gimmies in Blood Bowl, and on every individual kickoff, the game can be very different, and that's just so exciting. Anyway, guys, I'm going to wrap up this. Let me know what you think of this format, what's going on in Blood Bowl, because, well, I'm excited. Anyway, thanks very much for watching. Happy blocking. Thanks very much for watching. We really appreciate your support. If you want to support the show even further, please like and subscribe. It really helps us out. Or come and join us in our Patreon, link below, where you get early access to our content and monthly competitions. See you later.